Pretty Little Liars, the TV show, sometimes deals with disturbing and problematic topics. We've provided a list of content warnings in the episode description. Welcome to Dead Ends. I'm Emily.
I'm Brenton.
And today we have 2 more episodes of Pretty Little Liars. And then we have the finale.
Mm-hmm.
We have the info dump. It's kind of like sitting in a team meeting, except it's actually interesting.
Here, if you could see here, this what happened, and these are our goals with this. But as you can see, we fell short. But here's how we're going to change that in Q2.
Here's who we brought in. Here's who we didn't, but you thought we brought in.
Mm-hmm. So we get to revisit all sorts of people, I assume?
I mean, you kind of like find out like the timeline of the night. So you see like, I don't know if you get flashbacks or if she just talks. I assume you get flashbacks.
Right.
My only picture is the one that I think they have as the preview photo, which is them like sitting in a room together.
Mm-hmm. And probably just talking and being like, okay, here's what happened over the past 4 seasons.
But then other shit happens too. This is not just an info dump. I believe there's a bang bang.
Yeah, I have no updates to my predict. I guess we could revisit. I don't know. Do you think we should revisit the timeline to see if I'm accurate at all? Well, I guess we did that last episode.
Yeah, we did that last episode.
Yeah, so
you're fine.
Yeah, I don't think we need another actually. But what this episode presupposes is that I've been like, oh, parents, they're not involved. Well, what if one was?
What if one was? What if indeed? We get a really good mom's scene that I think goes unresolved in a later season.
Oh, that's good.
Might be the next season. I don't remember.
Interesting.
Like something happens to like a group of the moms. Oh. And then it's just like, oh, okay.
Right. It's kind of like, yeah, a lot of the stuff with the families is just kind of like things happen and then it's just fine. Like, we don't really have much of a follow-up on, like, what's up with Emily's family now? Like, we haven't talked about Wayne and his heart condition. And, that car that went through the house, is Pam just fine now? We haven't seen Pam in a while.
Yeah.
The ones we do get continuity on, really, is the Marins and the Montgomerys.
I think that's because Hannah only has one like involved parent. I think it's easier.
Right, because Tom is just like, they mentioned, it's like, well, Tom's not going to be around because Tom and Isabel are going to Australia. And didn't you want to go, Hannah? Oh, you're not going to go because you're in the show? Yeah, right. Okay, they're gone now.
Like reality TV, they can't break the fourth wall.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't leave.
And then the Hastings are constantly, they're like, well, nothing's affecting us. We're only talking about things in the past, but we're not talking about those things that happened.
Yeah.
And, and a correction for last time where I was like, oh, I think when they said they covered up something, that was just related to, it was not related to anything else, or it was just related to her visit to Radley. Nope, there's something else. Yeah, there's... I
was trying to lead you,
Right.
I was pulling on the chain.
Uh-huh.
You weren't following.
No, it's Veronica sadly throwing away clothes in the backyard. Well, should we jump into it? Let's do it. Whoops, here we go. Episode 93, Season 4, Episode 22, Cover For Me. Spencer unpacks her bags, home from rehab as Veronica walks in. Spencer's frustrated and irritable upon returning, but Veronica's happy she's home. Spencer has
just like a weekend rehab.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
she was like, yeah, just overnight. It's kind of, she went to camp and just for a weekend. Spencer has a brief flashback, chasing down Allison with a shovel. Veronica then tells her to get some rest as they have some things to discuss in the morning. At a frat house, we see Arias out drinking and making out with some guy. This is not the direction I thought her trip was going to take, and I surprisingly have a lot of thoughts on this.
Really?
I do.
I feel like it's nice. Showing Aria being like normal with a normal boy.
Yes, I thought this was taking so I have like wider thoughts. And I'm surprised by how much thoughts I have generated from this very light plot line that Aria has.
Yeah, it's not really, like, I forgot it happened. It's not important.
I
mean, it is, because it's like, oh, she's, like,
right,
trying to, like,
we can talk about this further at the end, but I was like, oh, this is, like, her, like, heading down the path that Allison was going down and steering away. And it's like, oh no. It's just Aria goes like, if I was going to have a spiral, I would just do it well. I would have my bender and I'd go home.
Some of us relate to that.
Right. I was like, oh, like we're going to get some parallels. No. Aria's just built different.
She's not pretending to be 3 other people.
I know, but I thought like how this was set up. It's it mirrors because then he's not, exactly, because he's also not in college. He's not in college either. So then it's like, okay, never mind. This is just a nice, neat little like Aria gets out of town and has a nice time.
Yeah, well, and I mean, and also she's like, even if he was, it's like she's a senior.
Yeah,
like, there's a big difference between that and Aria and Ezra,
right?
Or Ezra and Allison.
100%. I just thought there would be like more parallels since it's like, oh, we saw Allison doing this, running away from like Rosewood to go be someone else.
Got it.
But that is not the case. Aria's just being herself and
Aria's
just having
always being herself.
Yeah.
Aria's never not being herself.
And I have thoughts on that. Spencer comes downstairs for school and sees a guy. His name is Dean Stavros. He is the counselor that Veronica called in to like keep an eye on her. So Spencer is not allowed to go to school. She's not allowed to have her computer or her phone, and she just has to follow Dean's sobriety program. Spencer is obviously upset about this, and then Dean tries to cut in, and he's just like, I was brought in like by your parents, blah blah blah. And Spencer then continues to argue with Veronica, but he urges Spencer to cooperate because that'll be like what shows your parents that you're better now. She eventually acquiesces, wants to call Toby, but Veronica's like, already spoke to him. And then Dean hands her a drug test. Aria calls Emily. She is at Syracuse under the guise of campus visits and seeing her dad, which she is ostensibly doing. The frat guy, who is not a frat guy, I have his name down here a little later, sees her. He's also part of her tour group. And so they're going to instead go on the tour, go out for pancakes. He knows a place. See, this is also, I was like, he knows the campus. He's not, he's a college guy. Too. Exactly, yeah. So it's like, nope, diffused. Emily and Hannah, he's just a really nice guy. Emily and Hannah walk to class.
He just wants to play guitar.
I was like, go figure. Emily and Hannah walk to class, and Hannah mentions Spencer's lockdown. Emily saw Fitz's car is back, and they're pissed about the book. They see Mona and Mike argue after Mona seems to turn down plans with him. They see Fitz looking at her mad, and they put that Fitz probably set up Mike and Mona. Emily then goes to his class, but Hannah dishes because she's like, I just can't do regular class time with him. I'm just going to blow up at him. Emily, ever the cool head now, and is just like, I'm going to step into this. Goes into the classroom and is like, he tries to be like, yes, Mrs. Fields. And she's like, oh, like pretty much tells him to shut the fuck up, but in a very like calm, cool, collected. And she's like, I'm going to leave class and here's my assignment. And you're just going to take that and you're going to mark me as here. And it's like, what did you get out of helping me and pretending to be like this person? And like, he won't respond to her, even make eye contact with her. And she's just like, yeah, like that's what I thought, essentially, then leaves. Hannah, with big time in him. I love this move. Mm-hmm. Emily sees Holbrook and apologizes for trying to kiss him, and he invites her to sit down. And like he's like, oh, it's totally fine. But I do have some questions for you. He shows her the envelope that Paige left in the squad car and has her look at the note. Hannah's like, I have no idea what this is. And he's like, damn, I was hoping you would. He says he probably doesn't believe it's real. Like, I think it's probably a bad lead that is pointing us to Allison being alive. Aria wakes up in her hotel room to the guy playing guitar. He picks up on that she's like doesn't usually drink like this, and she's like, I've just had an off week. She's worried that they drank all the minibar alcohol and like how much it'll cost, but he's like, it's all good. And they make out. Spencer goes to bed, but when she climbs in, she finds there's dirt under the sheets and a note from A that says, I know you dug her grave, now I'm digging yours. Hannah tells Emily about the note. She sees Travis and goes to talk. Ashley invited Travis and his family over for dinner, and Travis then invites her out to a date, and she says yes. Spencer is poured a glass of green juice that Dean made and asks her about like side effects from it. Has she had any nightmares? And she's like,
the green juice is
I know. Side effects of sobriety. Like coming off the taking withdrawal. Thank you. She asks about hallucinations. Yeah, I'm not as cool.
Side effects of sobriety are that you're sober. It's usually improved health.
Right.
But some people feel better.
I think most people do. He says it's nothing to worry about. Like, she asks about hallucinations, and he's like, it's nothing to worry about. Like, when you take away drugs, like things come up that you forgot or need to process. And as he steps away, Spencer steals the house phone to try and call Toby, and she wants to have him like comfort her and make her feel okay. But then she's caught by Dean. Tanner and Holbrook stop Hannah on the street. Tanner thinks the note was written by Hannah, and Hannah's like, it wasn't me, and walks away. And Tanner's like, I like her. She's got moxie. Holbrook's like, I think this note is actually the real deal, and Tanner thinks that maybe Hannah will lead them to her friends. Aria visits the guy at a lake. He knows all about the town and school because his parents and siblings all went here, but he's like, you know what? I want to go down a different path. Like, I want to go into music, and like my parents think I'm like just a fuck up because I want to go to Berkeley. And I got into Berkeley College of Music. He's like, why are you in town?
Berkeley EE though. It's a different Berkeley.
Wait, really?
I think so.
I don't have different Berkeley?
I think so. Like there's a Berkeley Music.
Oh, okay.
Because it's spelled with an EE in the subtitles.
Subtitles?
Huh. I don't have my phone over here, so I can't Google it.
Yeah, I'm using mine for the notes. Well, then we can take away at least some of my being like... we'll come back to this. He asks why she's actually in town. She's like, I went through a bad breakup. He's like, why are you in exile? Like when he's the jerk. And shouldn't it be the other way around? Yes, good point. Spencer and Veronica finish cleaning dishes when there's a knock at the door. Jessica came over asking if Veronica got the flyer for the bridal show fundraiser that she's running and asking for Veronica's RSVP. And Veronica's like, oh, I got to go check the calendar, and walks away. And Jessica and Spencer talk, and she is like, I was surprised by your outburst, and like, but I heard it was caused by like an over-the-counter medication. Spencer's like, yes, and I'm sorry. Spencer's like, oh, this fundraiser, you know, I don't expect your parents to come. Your mom will probably just write a check. Like, you know, like it's to save starving children, and no mother would ever want to watch her child die. And then stares at Spencer. Aria packs up for the day when the guy comes over, and she's like, hey, let's go out. And he's like, no, I'm heading back home. Got to talk to my parents about Berkeley. But like, I had a great time with you. And she kisses him, and he hands her a note. Aria looks at the note, and it's a coupon to beat up a jerk. You know, it's a nice little coupon he wrote.
But I'm pretty sure it says like she could do it herself.
Oh, does it say that?
I think so.
Oh, okay. Mike comes into the brew, and he's like, Emily, have you seen Aria anywhere? She's not answering any of my texts. And he's upset because Mona broke up with him, and he thinks that Aria's to blame. And Emily's like, I don't think it was her. Like, none of it. She wouldn't do that. We didn't do that. Like, we don't like her, but like, we didn't mess with her. And he doesn't want to listen. Spencer and Dean are on a run. He stops her to ask if she'll get serious about counseling, but she doesn't answer. They keep running, and a barrel of dirt jogs Spencer's memory. She sees herself in a flashback chasing down...
Wheelbarrow of dirt.
Wheelbarrow of dirt?
I thought you just said a barrel of dirt, and so I was picturing
I did say a barrel of dirt.
Like a wine barrel.
Exactly.
Of dirt.
It's like dirt in a barrel.
I don't know that one.
Even better than fish. She's in the flashback. She sees herself chase down Allison and grab a shovel out of the wheelbarrow and hit Allison. And we don't see her actually hit Allison with the shovel, but it's like intimated that she brought the shovel down on Allison and had blood spurt on her face. She stops running and says, I think I know what I did. At the Hastings house, she asks Dean about missing memories and using other people's recollections to put them together, and that she thinks she's done bad things in the past. He says it's a positive step forward for you to start like remembering and want to take accountability for her past actions. And she's worried about what she did in the past, and he asks what happened, but she can't talk about it. Says, it's okay, I'll give you some space. You can read this letter, and hands her an envelope.
It's from Toby.
Yes. This is a letter, but we don't see what is actually in the letter.
And we don't find out in the next two. So I don't know.
Maybe in the last episode. Hey Spencer, hope you feel better. Travis and Hannah are out to dinner. Jessica walks by and compliments her and meets Travis. Jessica keeps walking as Tanner and Holbrook stop her to talk. Hannah texts Emily about the police activity. Mona leaves her house in the Mustang and has a jump scare when Emily is in the rearview mirror, but she's trying to back up. Finally, one of the liars gets to do a jump scare on someone else.
That's like Emily and Hannah have now both stood in front of that car.
But only Emily is like gets the done like the like.
No, Hannah like ran in front of Jenna, to prove that she could see.
Right. Emily asks. I had forgotten about that. Emily asks if Mona's going to meet Fitz, and Mona invites her in. Fitz is at his house when there's a knock at the door, and it's Aria who asks to come in. Emily asks Mona why she helped Fitz, and Mona says, I'm surprised it took you so long for all of you to figure it out. I thought it'd be Aria that would be the one to come confront me. I found out around when I bought this car, and I wanted to stop him I wanted to stop him from writing the book for at least the parts that included me, because I was up to some pretty bad criminal activity. They ended up making a deal, and he would edit out the parts about Mona's criminal deeds for her help. She only saw parts of the chapters that were related to her, though. Aria tells Fitz he needs to leave town, and he's like, yes, I'm actually going to be taking a leave of absence. I think that's good. And Aria's like, no, you need to leave town for good. And he's like, well, we can work through this. And Aria's like, hell no, I don't want to see or hear from you ever again. Mona confirms that she dated Mike to get closer to Aria. She ended up falling for him and wanted to get out, wanted to get out of working with Fitz, but had to let Mike go instead. She got some new info from this experience, though. Fitz thinks he knows who the new A is. Fitz gives Aria a copy of his manuscript. She's like, no thanks, like fuck off. And he says, I found out some stuff that could really help you. He says he was actually in New York returning his advance, like, in case you were wondering. And she's like, it's too late. Fitz says, I guess this is goodbye, and she leaves. At home, Aria reads the manuscript, and Spencer reads the letter at her house when she hears a phone ring. She breaks into the desk where it's stored, and it's Aria texting SOS. Hannah gets a text from Emily for her to meet at Emily's house. She says to Travis, I have to go, and offers to pay for after dinner. And Travis is like, you've been distracted all night by your phone and things. And like, she's like, no, it's not you. I like really have to go. She kisses him before she leaves. And she's like, even though it may not have seemed like it, I had a great time tonight. At Emily's house, they discuss, the friends all discuss Mike, and then Hannah sees a blue envelope pinned on Emily's corkboard. Emily says, oh, that's a note from Paige. Aria comes in with the manuscript, and Fitz thinks that Mrs. De Laurentiis is A. They don't believe it. Aria wonders why Jessica would think they were in the way if her aim is to bring Allison home. Spencer says maybe because I tried to kill her, and thinks that Jessica like made weird comments about it earlier. You know, the whole like staring at her thing. She's like, Spencer says she's been seeing things and doesn't remember everything that happened that night, so maybe she did do something. And all the friends are like, no, you didn't do anything. Emily and Hannah have a sidebar outside, and Hannah asks if Emily told Paige that Allison was alive. Aria comes home to find Mike watching TV. She's like, sorry about the breakup, and I would never do anything to break you guys up. And he says, I know, it was just easier to blame you than admit you were right all along. Spencer sneaks back into her house and is confronted by her mom, who grills her on if she's using drugs. She takes her phone and asks why she was at Emily's, and we've tried so hard to protect you, Spencer. Spencer says, maybe stop. What did you say you like covered for me for? What was that? Like, I don't remember it. And Veronica's like, well, consider it a blessing. Spencer goes to climb into bed when she sees Allison's window light up. We see a dark figure move around the back of Spencer, and we see it's Jessica in her room. Veronica calls to Spencer and asks if she's okay, and then and she turns around and faces Veronica with Jessica gone, but then we see Jessica sneak out behind both of them. We see a bridal dress as a cover. Of white wedding plays. A gloved hand zips up the garment bag. The end.
Okay, well, I guess we should start where you want, which is with your obsession with Aria's trip.
Yeah. Okay. So I already talked about that. I thought this would go in a different direction. And it ends up just kind of being, we get Aria having a trip that you would see in other shows where it's like, damn, the guy's got to get out of town. He's got to blow off and ends up finding a sweet girl and they have a good time. So it's she gets to have her nice little calm adventure where she meets this nice person and then gets to have this realization that she's I need to be more forceful with Fitz. I can't be the one running away, and that I need to put my foot down. And in this case, her realization is I need to tell him to get out of town. He can't be in Rosewood at all anymore. And that's her way of enforcing boundaries and being you hurt me, and we don't get as far as manipulated or anything yet, but is at least manipulated, yes.
Yeah,
in the sense.
Because he knew who she was. She knows that he knew, yeah.
And so she's at least coming back and has found that new okay, I can't run away from my problems and that sort of things, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
She can't help but run into the nicest boys on the face of the planet. like
Aria is
Jake.
living my dream life. Like if I was like when I was that age, like that's all I wanted. Is like, oh, this one hurt my feelings. Run to a new one.
I know.
Oh, he's cute. Oh, he's emotionally intelligent. You know what it is though? Like she goes for guys that are not going in a traditional direction.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't go for like, like I want to be a businessman.
No. It's
she
like,
goes for like I'm a singer-songwriter. I'm a martial arts teacher who helps people like that. This is all about unpacking how you feel and making you feel safe. It's self-defense. Like I loves it. And then she ends up with fucking Fitz.
So this brings up my next point.
She could have any man. Any man.
All of the liars can be self-destructive to varying degrees. Is Aria the most self-destructive?
Romantically, by far. So Spencer's self-destructive personally because she hyper focuses on like she has to have the answer.
Right.
Like the whole mystery drives her insane. And she doesn't loop in Toby. Hannah's probably the healthiest. Hannah and Emily are probably the ones that are doing the best.
Yep.
In terms of like not exploding their own lives or anyone else's.
Hannah comes close.
Yes.
But then Mona's just like, you're not that type.
Well, and also like Hannah, like when Caleb leaves, like they really didn't like make her as miserable as I thought they would.
No, it's kind of like when Caleb's off to the other show. She has like on an episode where you think she's going to be sad about it, but it's actually sad because she made out with Mike a while ago and didn't tell Aria.
Yeah. And then also
not even about Caleb.
I think part of it is like, I don't know if it's supposed to be like a, almost like she's pretending like it didn't happen, like a denial thing, or if they were just like, the show's probably gonna flop.
Exactly, he'll be back. I don't
know. Because he will be back, but
I think that was what we talked a lot about in Ravenswood, that it's like we have to try and work backwards to make you be okay with Caleb doing this. It's like you kind of also have to work backwards in this show too to make it okay that he left, and so that you can watch both shows without feeling weird, rather than letting you have complicated feelings about that.
Yeah,
and that being a plot driver. But yeah, it's so funny that Aria, it's like she can't help but find the nicest boys on the face of the planet. And then it's like, but this teacher, gotta tell you, my boy Fitz. I mean, it's not the case in this episode, but I think I know in the future where it's going. But it is like she can't help but when she's on the rebound, just find the nicest people on the face of the planet, and make the worst decisions possible.
Well, I mean, in this one, it's not a horrible decision because like he wasn't going to stay. You know what? Like, and they were like, "Oh, we'll be friends, and it's fun, and it's casual."
It's a casual weekend that they had together.
I think Aria is really good at casual relationships with men. Like, there's besides Fitz, like
she can't have them. She has a nice relationship with Jake, but the whole time she's like eyeing one foot out the door.
Yes, she's casual.
But it's not under good terms. It's not casual.
Well, not for him. Yeah, I guess that. But in this case, it is. Like, it's a very healthy, casual relationship.
I think this is the only one that we could point to.
I just feel like, she's like, I'm not emotionally invested much at all. Like, I'm having fun. It's a good time.
Right.
She also applies my favorite, rule of your youth. I don't recommend it in your older years, but, how to get over someone. Get under someone else.
Right. And on your parents' dime.
Yeah. It's always best. No.
Yeah, like I said earlier, it's just like, well, if I'm feeling sad, I'm gonna have my bender and I'm gonna get over it.
Yeah, just typical things.
Yeah. So I just thought that was like so funny. It's just like, well, and slightly, this is less about art. I mean, it's only in connection with like Fitz. I realized that Fitz in that scene, he's living out he thinks he's like living out the climax of like a romantic comedy where it's like the male lead has messed up so bad, but like he's just gonna make it up to the girl somehow. This is that part where he's like, we could work through this. Yeah. Like, I really manipulated you, but we're gonna end up together because we're meant to be. I was thinking of like the one that came to mind was like, this is gender flipped, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, where it's like, I was using you for story, but then I fell in love with you, except to a much darker degree. But that's how he's like coming off of this scene, like, what? Like, I'll leave for a little bit, but we can work this out. And I gave up my advance, and I'm like, if you switch the framing of this just a little bit and add like some like kind of like sweet music or like some this could be like a Nora Ephron classic.
Yeah. I think also we should talk. Are you anything else about Aria and
No,
okay.
I think we're good there.
I was like, I know you had a lot of feelings about this. So
Yeah, that was just my feelings there. I was just like, this is so funny. Like, why am I thinking about this so much?
My other thing about Aria is like, girly pop, you don't show up at your stalker's house alone.
Yeah.
Every time I broke up with someone or one of my friends broke up with someone in high school that we were a little bit afraid of, even like if we didn't think they'd be violent, you know what I mean? Like, because it's also like in hindsight, they're like 18-year-old boys. But like, you know, like, I mean, men are scary.
Totally. Even 18-year-old boys. Yeah.
But you know, you'd bring a friend to go do the scary things, and like Aria's like a very independent girly. Aria's like, I'm gonna do it, and I do it myself, which like I love. But like, girly pop, you're like 5 feet tall and like 100 pounds. Like, you're gonna get like taken, or you've already been put in a box with a dead body.
Yeah, you don't
probably by this man.
Right? Exactly. You don't know what he's capable of.
Do we know who put her in the box?
No,
I don't.
We have not got it.
Okay.
Well, we saw that Wilden and Melissa were. Those are
two
the
Red Queens.
Exactly. We do not know. We have not seen someone specifically put her in a box.
I don't know if Allison tells us or not. I don't know how Allison would know.
I'm assuming this is also when we find out like who pushed Ian off the bell tower and all that stuff.
With the Allison?
Yeah. Or no?
Yes.
Okay.
We find out
it was Allison?
I'm not telling you who it was.
I think I'd guessed that a while ago, so I'm still keeping that guess.
I don't remember what you guessed.
Oh, so like way back, I was like, "This is Jason. This is a whole black hoodie thing." But I think like it was maybe only a few episodes ago. I was like, or maybe before the break for Ravenswood in season 4. I was like, "Oh, I think that was probably Allison."
You'll have to wait and see who pushed Ian off the belt, or if anyone pushed him.
Right.
Maybe Emily, or maybe everyone's just been hallucinating.
Oh, you know what? That's what it is. And we're all gonna wake up in a dream, from a dream, in a dream.
Back in the summer before Allison disappeared.
Right, exactly. It's whatever the thing from St. Elsewhere.
Yes. So you know, lots of fun, wild plot twist to come.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, who shows up at your stalker's house alone? Don't do it, girly. Don't do it.
Mm-mm. You don't know what Fitz is capable of. Other than owning lots of computer screens. And he has a giant printer to get large photos printed.
And he's been stalking you. And he's been writing down every conversation you had.
Yeah. I was going to sell it. To Random House. Or Penguin.
Remember. I feel like it was Random House.
I think it was Random House.
I like that Emily's gone feral.
Yeah.
Every week I'm just like, yes, she's more feral. Like, this is the Emily you love.
Yeah. I like that Emily's like, Hannah's like, I can't face him. And then Emily's like, oh, I can.
Let me do it.
Yeah. And it's just like big times him. And it's just like, yeah.
Give this to a real teacher. That's my favorite.
I didn't write that down. Yeah, but that is a very good quote. Ooh, yeah. Got him.
Got him right in the teacher heart.
Exactly. And it's just like, yeah. Take it, and I'm out of here.
Is Mona's story about why she was working with Fitz true?
Yeah, I 100% believe that.
You always believe Mona.
Yeah, believe Mona. Yeah, I just buy that story. That's what I was presupposing last week. So I was like, yeah, and I think Mona gets her own. I think that the like, take my stuff out of your book is a pretty good reason for it. Keeping an eye on the liars is also another good reason to do it. So, you know, even if she's not being like, well, I also got a little bit out of keeping an eye on Aria and the rest of you. She didn't mention that, but I think I read that as between the lines. It's just like, oh yeah, but then I can also,
I have my info.
Right. And then also, you know, if you found Allison, like that could maybe help lead me in the direction as well. So yes, she does have her own things, and I think she's telling you the truth without telling you the whole truth. You know what I mean? It's there, but she just doesn't have to tell you that, like, I also got something out of this.
Do you think she actually likes Mike?
I took that more as like pity of like, oh no, he really fell hard for me, and like I thought he was a nice boy, so
yeah,
I don't think he's the one for her. I think she's like, oh no, I messed up because this is a nice guy.
I heard,
and he seemed like a very nice guy.
I know Mike's gone a long way from stealing things from garages.
Could have been a nice guy then too. He was just a little reckless. It's almost stealing police officers' guns.
Why does Ezra think that A is Mrs. De Laurentiis?
We get some flashbacks and stuff that makes it seem like she's at least trying to like keep tabs on them. I'm assuming that he maybe found out about the like CC payment and whatever deal she has going on with Peter and like covering up what Spencer did, so that she maybe has some sort of investment to like look into them, because he also thinks that one of the friends killed Allison. So that it's like, oh, maybe she is obviously trying to do things so that he maybe knows other things that she's done in terms of like paying off people or trying to like follow up on them, that would make her seem equally suspicious as being A, to try and like find out more about her daughter.
Does Ezra know that Allie's alive?
I think he does now. I don't think he did. Because then we get there's those texts earlier in the season, or a few episodes, after the Ezra reveal, Ezra, that he's like texting things about like Allison and like stuff like that. So I think it is that she's still alive. Okay. That he now knows that through them.
So Allison knew about him before he knew about Allison. She led the girls to his lair.
Yes. And that's when I think, is it Grunwald that goes, he knows now?
Maybe.
So I think like, even if he's not A, she knew that he was keeping tabs on them. And so she's like, I have to point you in the direction of like, this guy is like doing really creepy shit and stalking you all.
Yeah, and because she tells them that one of them has been touched by the person Allie's afraid of.
Stuff.
What was in Toby's letter?
Like I said, get well soon. I wonder if it's gonna.
Does Toby know about A still? Yeah, right?
No.
Well, but he was part of the A team post Mona, so he knows there is an A.
But she's not connecting him to finding any of this stuff. So I don't know if it's just like, I can't keep doing this anymore, which I hope it isn't. I'd be sad if it was a breakup letter. But I could see this show doing that.
Not even having him break up with her in person?
Potentially. But I can see them doing that. I think it would maybe be...
I feel like Spencer would have spiraled harder.
That's true. Yeah, so maybe it's about like his...
I don't remember, but...
Yeah, maybe it's about his mom and like Radley.
Will the Hastings ever tell Spencer what happened the night Allie went missing?
Oh God, probably not. I think she's gonna get it from Allison instead. Because the way they both just be like, well, Spencer, stop asking these things. And then has now been like, oh yeah, I hired a private detective to follow your sister. And now Veronica being like, well, it's a blessing you don't remember. Worst parents. Your daughter is suffering from obsessive thoughts and needs to figure this out. You got to help her out. You got to give her a lifeline.
Was Mrs. De Laurentiis really in Spencer's room?
Oh, I think that was one. I don't think that was a
hallucination. Or like a
paranoia. Right. I think that was 100% creepy Jessica doing weird stuff. I do think she's up to something.
Just behind Spencer's mom?
Yeah.
Good God. Creepy.
Yeah. Exactly. I think with the glimpses we get next episode too, I don't think she's A, but I do think she's like out to get the friends and things.
Or at least Spencer.
Right.
She didn't fuck with Emily while Emily was in the house.
No. She was perfectly fine with that.
She doesn't go after Aria at all.
Or Hannah.
Well, she's mean to Hannah.
Yeah. But, that's, I guess, how her daughter acted.
Okay. Well, those are my questions for this episode.
Yeah. I think I want to talk about Spencer also in these episodes. I think it's cool that they're doing this, even if it is just like for like plot convenience. But we get more of Spencer's problem with like obsessive thoughts. Like she can't let this go.
No, she needs the answers.
Exactly.
And she thinks the answers will make her feel better.
Right, exactly. Which is, as someone who's gone through this through therapy and is also like experiencing things of like not remembering things from like using drugs and alcohol. It's like the thing you have to like let go. In the next episode, we get it too of, I think it's Emily that is just like, well, who's the one person that would know that? And it's like Allison. It's like, yeah, is she here? Like, no. So it's like you kind of have to forget about it. So like, she's spiraling and going through things.
You mean Ulcer Girl is telling someone else to chill out? Pot, kettle, black.
Yes, I was going to say. Glass house is Emily. But yeah, it's she normally what you're supposed to do is you have to just let it go and know that the ambiguity is like fine, and that like you are not like a horrible person that did something completely terrible. But the way this show is set up is like Spencer has to keep digging because then it's a mystery
and it's a plot.
Right, exactly. So it doesn't really like match one-to-one there, but I think it's the way that Spencer is immediately blaming herself in every single situation, and the friends constantly having to reassure her, and the way she even reaches out to Toby for reassurance because she's like, I need someone else to tell me that I'm okay
and that I didn't do like a horrible thing to them.
Exactly. Yeah, is like,
or that I'm lovable still, or I'm forgivable.
Is like real world ways of like reacting to trauma and like obsessive thoughts and like the actual like OCD. It's not just like cleaning and things. It's like if you don't do that cleaning, you can't get the obsessive thought of not doing, say, that cleaning thing, because then that like means XYZ. So it's like she can't help but feel like anxious and unresolved about these feelings because she thinks she did something horrible, which makes her then a bad person, which is classic obsessive thoughts. So it's a cool depiction, at least, even if it is just kind of like window dressing for to move the plot forward. But it's like, yeah, cool. I like that.
Cool.
Should we take a pause?
Yeah.
All right. Episode 94, season 4, episode 23, Unbridled. Spencer walks it.
Jesus Christ.
Spencer walks through the woods in a wedding dress. She falls and finds that someone is following her. We hear metal snapping. Cut to 48 hours earlier. At the brew, Emily confirms she hasn't talked to Paige yet, who's away visiting family. They wonder who the cops are going to question. Spencer worries that she might have killed the person that's in Allison's grave and continually blames herself, to everybody going, no, you probably didn't. Emily doesn't think Jessica is and asks Spencer to take her home now. As they leave the brew, they see Jason. Spencer calls to him, but he blows them off and drives away. They go to follow in Spencer's car, but find her wheel is stuck. Like her steering wheel is stuck. Emily then finds a roll of photos in the wheel with a bunch of pictures of Allison and at the end there's a note from A that says, "You know me, Spencer, you killed me." Aria talks to her mom on the phone, who grills her on her parties in Syracuse and asks if it's because Fitz resigned from Rosewood, and Aria's like, how do you know about that? She's like, teachers, like, we talk. But then Ella surprises Aria by stepping into the room. Spencer talks to Emily on the phone as she goes to school, that Jason is next door packing boxes. Wonder what's up. He sees Dean downstairs and says, you don't need to come to school with me today. It's all right. And he's like, nope, I'm going to go with you. And she's like, I don't want to, like, okay, you can come, like, walk with me, but, like, I don't really want you to go over there because I want to go talk to like next door, but like she can't like exactly explain who Jason is to her, to like Dean. And he's like, okay, I'll like back off if you like take this like P test. Hannah comes downstairs as Ashley is organizing the bridal charity event for Jessica. Hannah asks, do you wonder why she even hired you? And Ashley's like, she gave me a chance when no one else did. Spencer and Emily are at school in the bathroom, and Spencer couldn't catch Jason. Paige then walks in, and Spencer's like, well, I will give you two some space, and leaves. Emily grills her on telling the police about Allison. It's like, who's going to protect her? You just like left her right out in the open. Paige is like, the police will. It's like, well, what if the police don't get there in time? Paige is like, well, I don't think she needs help. And Emily's like, you just put a search party on her for whoever tried to kill her. Hannah sees Travis and tries to stop to talk to him, but he blows her off. She apologizes for the date, that she has a lot going on and wants to do over. He's like, it seems like you're just always busy and have a lot going on. And he's like, I'm busy, and then walks away. Jessica argues with someone on the phone as her and Ashley organize the event. She's extremely mean. Jessica sees the cops pull up and has Ashley go upstairs to get something for her. She steps outside to greet Holbrook at the front door. He has to come in. She's like, now's not a good time. He says, we're not certain your daughter's in that grave, and when you reported Allison missing, you gave us family photos, and in that, one of those, she has a break in her right arm, and the coroner didn't note that fracture in that spot. I got a judge's order to exhume the grave, so this is less of a, like, can we do this, and more like, this is going to happen, much to Jessica's dismay. Ashley looks in Allison's room and finds a bag of new clothes and a receipt for them. Purchased yesterday. Jessica then approaches, but is like, hey, what are you doing? This isn't a guest room. Emily tries to send an email to the email address that was on the note. This was from Allison to Shauna, I think is what that note was originally from. But the email address on there, oh wait, no, it was inside the notebook. It was inside the notebook. I think that's what it was from. I think it was inside Allison's notebook.
Got it.
But the email, her email is not authorized to send to that address. She calls the number and gets a restaurant. It calls the number that's also on the like note card and gets a restaurant that's closed for renovations. She stops Jason as he leaves for school and as he's leaving the school and asks like what's going on with him, like blowing them off. Jason feels bad for not contacting her after the elevator crash, and he's like, I'm sorry you got caught in like Wilden like coming after me and like you got caught in the crossfire. He's like, my mom has a lot going on right now. I need to give her space from Spencer, and going back to rehab again was humbling. My mom was there to protect me, and this isn't the first time Spencer's come after our family. Flashback. Jason wakes up and hears Allison and Jessica coming into the house arguing. Jessica says, you have to defend yourself. And Allison's like, well, I don't know who's messing with me. Jessica asks if the notes are on her phone, if the notes are coming in through her phone, and like if Spencer doing this. Tells Allison that she won't allow her to be bullied and you got to fight fire with fire. Jason just sits up and is just like spoken like a true debutante, to which Jessica is surprised, like, how long have you been sitting there? Aria and Ella discuss the bridal party and how they don't want to go. Ella tries to get information on why Fitz, information about Fitz and Aria, but Aria, she's then interrupted by a phone call from Zach and goes to talk to him. Spencer gets a text from Emily that she spoke to Jason. She's then surprised by Dean. He asks what's bothering her and if it's because her parents aren't like at the house. She says no, I'm more worried about the holes in my memory, and introduces her to a book he's been reading on Jack Dempsey, who had a similarly messed up family as him, and he boxed his way through it. And then goes to read it to her. So the context is she was sleeping downstairs instead of in her room, and he's just like, why are you sleeping down here? Ella goes to talk to Aria after coming back in, and Aria lashes out at her. Is like, why are you talking to Zach? Don't you love us? I can't believe you left and abandoned me and Mike. And Ella's like, you're the one who sent me to Europe. Like, what is this all about? And then Aria just yells at her more. It's like, well, you don't love us. Veronica comes home and finds Dean and Spencer asleep on the couch, and she's just like, what the hell is happening here? Get up. That's my teenage daughter. And Dean's like, oh, I apologize for doing that. And it's just like, yeah, I think tonight's your last night. Pack up your stuff and hit the bricks. At the brew, Aria, Emily, and Spencer catch up on Jason's memory. And Aria says, can we really trust Jason? He had a similar drug problem as like Spencer at the same time. He doesn't have like the greatest memory of that night either. And they wonder why Jessica would be A. Spencer says the person who was after Allison could still be out there. Hannah then storms in saying, we have to participate in the bridal show, and tells them about Ashley finding the new clothes. Holbrook comes over and tells them
my favorite thing about that, sorry, because I don't really have like a question about it, but like is that like that Ashley came home and gossiped immediately to Hannah. She's like, isn't that fucking weird?
Hannah, this is strange. The unseen
I wish
thing
we'd
there.
seen that scene.
Totally. It would have been so good.
I bet it was so good.
I bet it's a deleted scene, actually.
I bet so too.
Yeah. It's really funny. Hannah, okay, don't tell anybody, but Jessica's off her rocker. Holbrook comes out and is very mean. Holbrook comes over and tells him that the investigation is continuing and that the next question is, who is in Allison's grave? Anybody want to tell me? Spencer comes home and finds Veronica searching through her room. Spencer stops her, and Veronica says, when you were on drugs originally, back for a couple years ago,
drugs OG.
Exactly. I made your sister swear we'd never mention the incident before she left for school. We end a flashback. Veronica is in the backyard throwing away clothes. Allison sees her as she's cutting through their backyard to get to her house. She's like, I'm out after curfew, so I'm trying to sneak back in. She's like, do you need help? To Veronica, and Veronica's like, no, I'm just trying to understand why Spencer's acting like this. And Allison says, I can ask Spencer about that, but she might turn on me. You might not get an answer. Veronica tells her to go home, and Allison goes to leave, and we see Spencer standing outside the house staring at her. Back in the present, Spencer's like, I don't remember that at all. And Veronica says, well, you need to leave that somewhere alone. Spencer looks outside her window and sees Jessica just staring across the way at her. Hannah pulls up to the De Laurentiis house and sees Travis working as the valet. She says he looks good. The friends get dressed up in wedding dresses for the charity event. Spencer wonders if Jason is even here, and Hannah says they're never going to get upstairs into Allison's room like this when they have to go walk the runway. Ashley then comes in and asks where Spencer's veil is and gets her all fixed up, and she's organizing the whole thing, so she's very stressed. Spencer says, oh, it's probably inside the house, and Ashley's like, well, go get it. Spencer comes inside and sees Jason. She's like, hey, I'm not here to bother your mom, and I was actually at this rehab over the weekend. And he's like, oh, why were you there? And she's like, it's a long story, but isn't it funny that we always have more in common than you think? And he's kind of like, eh. Spencer asks Jason if maybe the night he saw Cece, could it have been another blonde? They are interrupted by Dean, who then gives Spencer his card and says, hey, you can call me 24/7 for help. Dean asks, oh, and when she says this, she asks where Jason has been, and Jason's like, well, I've been at this rehab for a while, but my mom was there and blah blah blah. So then now when Spencer's talking to Dean, he gives her his card, just call me 24/7 for help and I'll be there. And he's like, oh, is that Jason who you're gonna go talk to the other morning? Spencer's like, yes. He was at Clark Center, that's the rehab, for a while there. And Dean's like, he said he just got back from Clark Center. He's like, that's been closed for 2 years. Be careful.
Okay, love you, bye.
Jessica grills Ashley on organizing the event, but it's really not about the event. It's more just I'm trying to be mean to you for crossing the line and going and investigating my daughter's room, which is a little weird. Jessica sees Spencer comes in and glares at her. Spencer runs to the friends to tell them about Jason. Hannah runs off and says she has to get in Allie's room. Ashley comes to get them to the stage, and Aria and Emily go, but Spencer goes outside and sees Jessica hand a bag off to someone in the woods. Ashley tracks Spencer down and is like, you're up soon, and Spencer's like, oh, okay, I'll be right there, and then ends up running off into the woods to follow the person. Hannah sees Travis and asks if he's seen Jessica. He says no. Hannah says, can you stall her if you see her? It's weird things happening, and Travis wonders if this is related to criminal activity, and tries to explain to him what's going on, but he's like, just don't worry about it. You don't need to tell me. Another valet comes up with a car, and then Travis intentionally has him run over the mailbox, and he tells Hannah, he's like, well, now me and Jessica have something to talk about, and Hannah's all happy, and they make out. Ella visits Aria after she finished on the runway at the event and tries to have a talk about
boys.
Yeah, exactly. It's well, sometimes ending relationships, it's sad, but then something new could happen.
Like someone who's age appropriate.
Exactly. Wouldn't it be nice to have a nice guy? And Aria doesn't want to talk about it, but Ella continues to give her this heartfelt talk, and it's that when I was talking to Zach, he kept wanting to talk to me, and he really wanted to know what your reaction was. He proposed. And Aria's like, oh my God, why didn't you say anything? And I was like, well, I wanted to discuss something more important, my daughter. Hannah and Emily search Allison's room. Hannah finds a photo collage Allison made, and Hannah sees the menu for the restaurant that Emily called. Emily then puts 2 and 2 together and says the restaurant's name was the password to send to the email address. Emily then sends an email address to Allison that says they're here to help. Back at Spencer, running in the woods, we saw at the beginning of the episode, she walks through the brush and finds her veil, gets caught in a bear trap instead of stepping into one. She turns and runs away. Aria enters Allison's room and finds Emily and Hannah, and they wonder where Spencer is. Emily gets a call from a blocked number. It's Allison, who wonders how they found her. They tell her the police know she's not buried. Allison says her mom can't know anything, and you have to come to me to help. The friends find Spencer's phone and bag. Spencer comes running in panicked, and they tell her all about Allison and that she's actually in Philly. Spencer tells him about the bag drop-off she saw and that she chased the person into the woods. They help Spencer get the dress off, and in the corset, they find finger bones and a note that says, "What will you do when the rest of me comes out of the grave?" It was pretty dark. Emily's waiting for the friends at home with her bags packed to go see Allison. Paige then comes over to apologize and says what she did was totally out of spite for Allison. Emily says, and I'm sorry about that. Emily says, "I forgive you, but I don't think I can trust you again." Paige is heartbroken, wondering what that means. The friends pull up, and Emily tells her goodbye. The friends arrive at an abandoned place covered in cobwebs. Hannah finds leftover food containers and is like, "Oh, Allison must have been crashing here." Spencer finds a locked door and knocks on it for Allison. Behind them, another door opens, and we don't see who it is, but Spencer turns around and is just like, "What are you doing here?" Very casual. At a hotel lobby, the concierge leaves guest keys on the desk and walks away. We see a gloved hand grab the keys and then look in the guest book, and we see that CC Drake signed in there, and they dial Rosewood PD. CC? The end. But CC, if you're trying to run away, maybe you don't put your name in the guest book.
Baby girl used a fake name. Okay. What's going on with Jason?
There are two wolves inside me. The one I'm inclined more towards is that he is. Well, I'm more inclined that he's like trying to keep a close eye on his mother because he's suspicious of her. Because obviously he was doing investigating cross country, I would assume, and so maybe stumbled across something that would prove his mom is up to some weird stuff and is like, okay, I'm going to come home and get close to her and pretend to be an ally. This could also just be like he got manipulated by his mom, who seems to be very good at manipulating people, and it's just like, oh, well, it's just so hard. I have no one here. Like, you can help me. And so there. But because of his non-appearance at the Clark Center rehab, I'm assuming that he found some information on his road trip and is trying to get closer to his mom to find out more or keep an eye on her of like what she's trying to do. Whatever the hell the handoff was and all that kind of stuff.
What was the handoff? There was teen clothes in a bag. Was it the same bag? That's the clothes Ashley found. Was like clothes for someone like Allie.
I missed that there was clothes in the bag.
Yeah, and that she'd bought it recently. That's why she was so upset because she pulls out like a mini skirt. You know what I mean? It's like very much like teen.
That's in the backpack.
And what I'm saying is in the bag in Allie's room that it's not there when the girls are in there. Mm-hmm. Was that clothes? Is that what was handed off?
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, I took it more that the handoff was like either like a money handoff or something. Oh. But I hadn't thought that it could be the clothes. Because if it is the clothes, then it could be way sadder that like someone's manipulating Jessica into thinking they're in like conversation with Allison and that she could get her clothes to make her feel safe. I hadn't thought about that possibility.
I mean, I guess, yeah. Or you think it's a money handoff?
I thought it was a money handoff to try and like track to like either get revenge and keep an eye on people. Because it seems like based off of the the flashback that we get is that she's like, I'm trying to get revenge because these people terrorized my family and I will not have that. I'm too proud of a woman like to do that. But I hadn't considered the possibility that there was the clothes were in that bag. And if that is the case, then I think it's actually we have Jessica being mean as a red herring.
So why else would she have the clothes then?
To like instead of like handing off, because she like the way she keeps Allison's room set up. That's what I assumed, that it was just like going in the room as like this like when I get revenge and we can get you to come home.
So you think Jessica knows Allie's alive though?
Potentially.
Okay.
She's like still has that hope and is like, well, I'm going to keep this ready for you like you want it. And I'm going to get revenge on these people that were terrorizing you, i.e. Spencer.
Got
and
it.
Friends.
Why did Mrs. D think Spencer was the one after Allie, like in the flashback?
I think that has because she's the one you probably see the most argue to, and I bet Allison probably would be like, come home and be like, yeah, Spencer was like absolutely terrorizing me today. Spencer made me feel horrible. Like, you know, like instead of being like, well, I kind of like egged on Spencer today. As per the usual, I can see Allison being the type of kid that's coming home and making up that like fabricated story to the parents of like how horrible their like friend is.
You don't think it has anything to do with the fact that Mrs. D and Spencer's dad made Jason?
Well, I mean, maybe, but I don't think that's why, like,
Got it.
she's jumping. I don't think in that context with Allison is why she's jumping to that conclusion there.
Got it.
Because I can totally see Allison being the the person coming out with like, oh my God, Spencer was just so mean, out of context to me. But I mean, there is the possibility that it's just like, yeah, we've got this. I don't like the Hastings. And she is like the product of Veronica and Peter. When I have these weird things, when we have the product of me and Peter living here. And all the bad blood there.
Yeah.
And I do think that if we are taking the Dark Jessica route, that she is maybe potentially manipulating Peter to like get him to do things for her.
I like that.
That's only if it's Dark Jessica. I'm now, if it is clothes in the backpack, I might be more inclined of being like, oh, they're really setting us up to make it seem like she's evil when she's like maybe just trying to like being fed lies by like a group of people.
Yeah. Why is Travis so nice?
I know. We'll get to this in a plan segment later. This boy just too nice. He you know, like that's the most endearing thing he's done, and he does a lot of endearing things.
Yeah, he's a nice boy.
And it's just like,
I completely forget about him though.
That's what I was gonna say. They're not giving him much. He's a Jake. He's gonna be out of here.
Yeah, but I remember Jake. Like when I think back on the show, I remember Jake. I don't.
You just don't think he's as handsome.
I think that's it. I also think like I only remember the pool scene, and then the rest of Travis's plotline goes away. Like when Hannah's rebounding.
Right.
Whereas with Jake, I specifically always remember him kicking the bag with the knife foot.
Right.
Because it's just so bad. And we didn't need that scene. He is by himself. Like we didn't need that scene. That was not a necessary scene.
Very funny though.
It is.
It was also what's illustrated about this. It's like you said pool scene. I was like, what scene were they swimming in the pool together?
Playing pool poorly.
I'm like, oh right, playing pool. I forgot about that. Sorry, Travis.
A has like 17 different handwritings allegedly, you know, with all the different notes and stuff. I don't know if you've noticed that there's like a couple of different handwritings that you see. People used to get really into being like, you know,
right. Whose handwriting is this? Like how Hannah connects the dots.
Who do we think put the bones in the corset?
Good God.
Are they real bones?
They would have. I would hope not.
Shauna used her connection at the party store to buy a fake bone.
That's what it is. A fake hand from like a skeleton. So one of those large skeletons is missing a hand, or is at least missing fingers. Yeah. Who would boy. Who would have done that? Who would have been even around? Because we just don't see like who's even there. But I mean, obviously, who's not there? Any of the A team or potential A team of like Jenna, Melissa. But it's like aggressive, and like we don't get. I don't think a lot of them are signed A this week. Of like,
how did she put it on without seeing that?
I know it's only until after where she's like hyperventilating that they're like, oh, we need to get this off you.
I have some questions about this one specifically. I remember even when I watched it the first time, I was like, who put it on her?
Unless like
someone else dressed her.
Right, unless Jessica did or something and Jessica put the bones on there. But that's the only person I can think that's like even around there. Because we have no conception of the party. They're the event. The event is not an event like the other events at this show.
Where we're only backstage.
Exactly.
Who was in the warehouse to greet them or wherever they were?
It's so funny because it's so casual. Like Spencer seems like put off by this person being there. So it's like, okay, like this has to just be like a person that she wouldn't be afraid of. And it'd be like almost like, why the hell are you here? So it's like That could be like a Lucas. That could be like a Noel. Not Jenna. It could be Shauna.
Who did you say when we first watched it? You said Mona.
Yeah, I said Mona. I could see that Mona kind of would get a similar disdain. I mean Travis, but I don't think so.
Travis, what are you doing here?
Just like, wait, then I don't know if there's anybody else that would get that casual of a remark. So I'm going to say one of those four, but it might just be a person that we haven't seen in a while. So like Noel or something like that. We get like a face turn from Noel or something like that.
I like it.
Yeah.
We shall see.
Yeah.
You ready to take us to Theory Corner?
Not quite yet.
Oh.
Because, we had a request because we had talked about last week that's going to be like some big happening, like a gun going to go off.
I think I could be leading you very astray. I did not look this up. I feel like it's better if I don't know because I'm less likely to spoil anything. Though I have done very good. I would like to take a moment to celebrate the fact that I did not give away that Ezra was writing a book.
You did a very good job.
That to me is like the funniest fucking plot line because it's just like so fucking weird. And you're just like, of course he is writing a goddamn book. And from the very beginning when you were like, oh, I bet he knew who Aria was. And I'm like, you have no idea the roller coaster you're about to go on. Because I too, when you first watch it, you're like, oh, he knows. Oh, wait, he doesn't know. Oh, he knows. Oh, he doesn't know. And then you're like, oh, no, he definitely doesn't know. And then finally, when you're very sure, you're like, oh, he didn't know them. Then they're like, oh, wait, he's A.
Right.
And you're like, what the fuck? And then you're like, there's no way he's A. They're pulling a Toby on us. And they're like, even worse, he's a creep.
Yeah. It's a big time reveal.
I would rather him be A. Like if I was Aria, I'm like, be A. Don't just be a fucking weirdo.
No. Right.
Okay, sorry.
Who was like planning this from the beginning.
Yeah, I didn't give away the Toby reveal. I didn't give away this.
You haven't given away anything. Yeah. It's incredible.
And there's still so many things I want to. There's one couple in particular that I don't think you could guess this pairing. And I'm like intrigued for it.
Okay.
And I'm intrigued for how you feel about it. Because when it first happens for me, I'm like,
ugh.
And then I'm like, no, I kind of like it.
Huh.
And then like, as the story keeps going, you're like, oh, it's, will they, won't they, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay. Got it. Well,
okay, what are you going to do?
But on the idea of a gun going off, who could potentially die? So I created a tier list. All right, so we're going to look at here. We are going from top to bottom of most likely. So,
do you have Ella at the top to die?
She's on the chopping block. That's number one. That's red. That's S tier. Significant. But maybe not as likely.
I just couldn't tell if it was Ella because, that's like the headshot.
Middle? Who are you again? You're not important enough.
Is it the brother and Travis?
Yes, that is Mike and Travis. I thought this was so I tried to for all these images because I really don't want to look at character things because something's going to get given away. Just take like the first thing that was like showed up on their character profile. So like some of these are like...
Who's the first one on If Only?
That's Fitz.
Horrible photo.
Yeah, but a little pixelated, but we'll zoom in.
It wasn't the size; it was the picture.
And then, the If Only, aka the dads and men who chase after undergrads column, and then Happy June, and then the liars. So let's walk through on who's potentially on the chopping block. I chose these by like, these are significant side characters that if they died would be like devastating. Like this would be a big pull for you.
Okay.
And also that they've been like that. Yeah, exactly. Like this would be this big thing happening. And they're also not a linchpin enough to where it's just like, it would completely derail things. Like where it's like, right. So it makes it more likely.
Okay.
Shauna, she's been playing with fire. Like, we don't know what happened, but she could like. It seems like something spooked her enough that something bad could happen to her.
She threw away her phone out the window.
Right.
Took out the battery.
Cece, been on the run. People chasing after her. And
we just got that little thing in the book.
Totally, and I could totally see her running back in to be like, "Here's what happened." Bang. And she like tells people like what happening, and then she ends up dying because she served her purpose. Mona, we would really hate to see her go, but again, that would be devastating if Mona would.
You?
I don't know if I would recover.
I was gonna say we'd have to end the podcast.
Lucas Wren.
Brenton takes a month off for mourning.
I can't. It's like the Queen. We have there's no other coronation though. I don't even know who would go up next. So Lucas, Wren, and Noel all serve a similar purpose, where it's like they've all been connected with like dark side A things. So like
dark side A.
Exactly.
What about the light side A?
Well, we haven't, the attachments, you can't have them. And so they could potentially all be on the chopping block, a la Garrett.
Mm-hmm. That is very Garrett.
Right. Ella and Wayne, these are both pure... like
actually good parents.
Parents, yeah. And so that's why I think there's a likelihood that they could die. Because there's not enough drama being generated from either of them. And in Wayne's case, there's a gun put on the table of like his heart condition. So it's like a gun could go off and then he could die like just completely unrelated.
I was gonna ask, I want you to also tell me who you think, like let's say someone gets stabbed or shot but doesn't die, like if this is the same ranking or not.
I would put it as a similar ranking.
Okay.
Except that you would maybe throw in one of the liars potentially. Could potentially get like
injured.
Shot.
Yeah.
And likelihood of that would probably be Spencer.
All right.
Yeah.
Damn.
I just think because Spencer is like the agitator, right? So like could be like getting into an argument with someone and wouldn't back down. And so then I also think our two police officers here, but poking their noses in business, they could die. So significant, but not as likely. I think there's wider plays. I mean, Paige, unfortunately, it's like I found this looks like from later in the series. So like, well, I got a little spoiled. So I don't, and I think Paige is she just got fucking dumped. I don't
remember Paige ever having that hair.
I just don't think Paige is going to be on the chopping block in the same way. I think Jenna, Melissa, Jessica are all way too central to something happening around Allison for them to be knocked off. Toby, my sweet pure boy, is always at arm's length. So therefore, I don't think we are going to get Spencer being completely like broken down by Toby dying. I think maybe that'll happen in the future, but I don't think that's coming up.
Okay.
We'll see what happens. Caleb, he's not even here. But he's significant, so he gets up in B column.
Okay.
Ham, she lives to menace another day. Veronica lives to menace another day. I think there's a lot of fucking plot stuff that are coming out of those two, potentially.
Ashley?
And then Ashley also just, good God. Whenever you need to throw a curveball.
You just throw it at Ashley.
Exactly. And then I think Jason is also very likely on this stuff. So I just don't think we're going to get... And then I don't think Mike or Travis are significant enough to warrant this sort of death. And then the if only column
because they already basically wrote Mike out and then wrote Mike back in. You know what I mean? Like, so...
Right. And it's like...
If they were going to kill him, they would have killed him the first time they wrote him out, I would
think. Yeah, exactly. He's on Teen Wolf.
Teen Wolf.
Yeah. And then the if only column, we can only dream. But,
well,
no justice. Well, we haven't seen Byron in a long time, so.
That's true.
There you go. My definitive tier list for the time being.
Of who's going to die or get shot or stabbed or fall off a skyscraper. I don't know. I was trying to think of other injuries. Fall down an elevator shaft.
Right. Jason's already done that, actually. I should have put him up at the top. Same with Emily. Well, she didn't fall down, actually. But, all right. Well, now that we've gotten our tier list out, let us step into...
Yeah, now you got to build out your theories around this.
Theory Corner. Welcome to Theory Corner. First and foremost, I know we're getting a big rundown, bunch of plot stuff next week. It is going to be a lot of information And simultaneously, not the full picture.
Oh yeah, no, you're gonna. I remember watching that episode, and like all info dump episodes, you leave with more questions than you have.
Yes.
It's like the one where Mona info dumps a little,
and
you're like, oh okay, cool, and then you're like, shit.
Yeah, at the beginning of the
threads.
season, where she's like, oh no, I don't know this person, this.
Yeah, they basically start and end the season with an info dump.
Yeah. Gather around, ye liars! I have a tale for you. But so I guess we're just gonna find out on the night that Allison got disappeared.
Oh, I hate when that happens to me.
Right, but she's like, I don't know who was actually after me, all this sort of stuff. So, I think my timeline's mostly accurate.
Okay.
But I don't think that Allison went and menaced Jenna. I don't think that's on there. I do think we are gonna get some more things that instead of being visited by Wilden, that maybe she was visited by Fitz. Who maybe found out about her and was like menaced by it. So he's just like
board shorts.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so is like, hey, I can't believe like you were lying to me about like who you are and like all this stuff and blah blah blah, and they get in an argument.
Which would trigger why he then started to like look for her.
Yeah.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah.
Couldn't tell you if it was true or not. I don't remember. I remember 2 parts of the info dump, and that is it.
Oh, interesting.
Like, I remember 2 pieces of information. One thing that she tells Spencer, like that, like clarifies things for Spencer,
right.
And one thing that like kind of clarifies things for Aria, or at least gives her like a full picture.
I think
rest of it fucking empty.
Right.
Head empty, no thoughts.
I think Jessica is gonna. Maybe I'll change my mind a little bit, and that Jessica does know that Allison is maybe alive, but that Spencer didn't kill her, and she thinks Spencer's keeping her away from there.
Okay.
So that could potentially be it. And so that like she saw the argument and Spencer getting involved there, but she's like, oh, Allison has to work this out with Spencer. Cece, don't say anything. Because like my daughter is like no weak person. Like we have to do this on our own.
Yeah, she needs to handle this.
Exactly. We're gonna look weak in front of the town. And that the things that Allison saw about the NAT club is she's gonna find out that Jenna and Melissa both helped them in like doing their weird like filming things and stuff, and so they can't have like Allison like telling people about like things they saw or like things they even found out about, like maybe potentially like Wilden and the things. Well, no, not Wilden. He wasn't a police officer then, but like they maybe like stumbled onto something, some sort of like they filmed like some illegal activity or something, and so then that's why like it's like, oh, we can't like have them find out about this. And we'll understand where she's been this entire time, which I think she's kind of been. She crashed with Grunwald. She's been sleeping in random places, but she's been like helping visit them. We get like all the other sides of like her visiting them. Like, you know, here we're going to see this scene again. And is Allison pulling Emily out of the burning building. Allison pushes Ian off the bell tower. And he's surprised she's alive. That's the other thing I
remember is the reveal on that.
The bell tower. Got it.
And who it is.
Yeah.
And why. And
she's like that Allison was following them, like to keep an eye on them, and then like is like, oh shit, I gotta go help.
I love how altruistic you think Allison is being.
I think in that sense she's like, oh shit, she's gonna like come after Spencer. I don't think she wants Spencer dead, but she's like, fuck this Ian guy. Bam.
Drinks milk.
Yeah,
whole milk.
Really creepily.
Weird. Standing in the doorway.
Weird dude.
You can drink milk if you want, but like not in the doorway. There's a decorum, please.
Anything else from that? Oh, and then we'll get some idea of maybe the guilt of Jenna and Melissa in trying to come after her. And her connection, we'll get further connection with Shauna, that it's like Shauna was like a longtime friend reaching out to me. I told her to get close to Jenna to try and help me like out for doing that. I found out about Fitz like writing this book. What a creeper. And maybe cast some more doubt on like Peter, and like I can't be around my mom because my mom if she finds out about this, it would be like bad for her, as in like that similar thing of like, right, our family can't look weak and that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
My mother would never like look at me the same or something like that. Would never welcome me home as daughter.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah, I think that's best guess.
I'm excited.
Well, we'll close up Theory Corner for now. We'll see you all next time. Goodbye.
Are you excited for the finale?
Yeah, I am excited for the finale.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. I think it'll be interesting to see how you react to it from what I remember.
If I'm just going to be like, if I'm going to come back next week and be like, God damn it. Which, always a possibility.
Always a possibility.
Yeah. I mean, you know, our next show that we'll do for this podcast, if we do Lost, there are episodes. This is where I learned the old tricks of the trade of being like, cool, we're going to have this really big episode and it's going to tell you stuff. It's never enough.
Well, it's like, I remember, like, I feel like the advertising for this wedding one, this, like, it was, like, really big around, like, it's like, oh, the liars are getting married, you know, like, that kind of stuff. But it's like, you know, then you know it's the fashion show and all that. Yeah. But then it was, like, it was also, like, you know, you find out, like, that Allison is somewhere specific and, like, that they're going to go to her, but you don't get there.
No, they just, like, tell you, they learn off screen.
They don't even tell you where she's in Philadelphia. That's what we learned. That's a big city.
Yeah, I know. No, with a reason or anything. Yeah, it's funny that like the wedding episode, it's like, or the charity event, it's kind of a big nothing.
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing happens during that.
And then even the flashback at the beginning of like Spencer in the woods.
She's gonna see someone.
Yeah, no, Spencer just runs around the woods by herself, and then she then comes home. But yeah, it's just like, okay, this was a big fat nothing.
Well,
I preferred Aria's road trip.
I liked Aria's road trip and her little boyfriend. Yeah. I thought that was fun.
Totally. Yeah, I just think it was a missed opportunity.
And make out with boys.
Yeah.
That's what I tell every 18-year-old.
I just thought it'd be more connected and she would reflect on her friend, but that's all right.
No. Aria does her own thing.
It's fine.
She's a boss babe.
It's fine.
She's girl bossing.
And
that's why people thought she was A.
Oh, I can
homegirl girl bosses by herself.
Yeah. She does.
All right.
Well, you can find this podcast on all your podcast platforms of choice at Dead Ends. You can also find the video version of this on YouTube at dead_ends. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff on all your podcast plays. We appreciate it. And you can also send emails, any questions, comments, concerns to deadendspcast@gmail.com. And then I've created a co-host. I haven't updated it the past couple weeks. But you can follow us there at Dead Ends. And next week, we'll just be watching the finale episode. So just one episode, if you're watching along. Well.
All right.
Next week, we're gonna still be here. And we're
really
gonna find out everything.
You really yelled the next week.
Yeah. Next week.
Okay, love you. Bye.